What's good, y'all? So with the regular season winding down, my mind is kind of really pushing for this playoffs. I'm ready for the playoffs to start. But before we even get to the playoffs, we have the play-in tournament. So I figure let's just take a look at the play-in teams and rank them on how much potential, I guess you could say, that they have going into the playoffs, if they can do a big upset, if they can steal some games, if they can even make the playoffs. Before we get into that though, I just want to leave a reminder to leave a like on the video, subscribe to this channel if you're new. We make a bunch of different NBA videos, multiple videos a week, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Starting off with number 8 out of the 8 play-in teams, we have the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls have one of the league's worst offenses this season, only ranked 24th in offensive rating, but in contrast, their defense is one of the best, being 5th. They shoot the ball very efficiently at 48.9%, which is 5th in the league. But one of their biggest issues is their three-point shooting. They take and make the least amount of threes in the entire league. So the Chicago Bulls right now are the 10th seed in the East, so that means that they would have to win 2 play-in games in order to make the playoffs. And they do have guys like Zach LaVine, who is a bucket getter, can really shoot from any space on the floor. And then they also have DeMar DeRozan, who's one of the clutchest players in the league right now, also a bucket getter. Can't really shoot the 3-ball, but in that mid-range, automatic. Finishing at the rim, automatic. Very good, those two guys right there, the good star power for them to have. And then you saw they have a top 5 defense in the league right now, which is pretty surprising to me. But they do have the personnel. They got guys like Pat Bev, who they picked up after the trade deadline. Alex Caruso is one of the best defensive guards in the entire NBA right now. Patrick Williams, he's a pretty good defender. Javonte Green also got the good defender for them too. The one thing that they really lack on defense though is a rim protector. Vucevic, not much of a rim protector. Then their backup is Andre Drummond, who is definitely not much of a rim protector. So in that, I feel like that could kind of bite them in the ass in the play-in game. Teams just, charging the paint, running down, and dunking on them the entire game. And then on top of that, as you guys also just saw, they can't shoot, really. They don't have much shooting besides Zach LaVine. Obviously, he can knock down shots. Kobe White here and there can kind of do it. Io is eh. So, I mean, you wish they had more shooting and more rim protection. If they had that, they should be a whole different team, whole nother story. But because they're lacking those 2 very important things in basketball, gotta rank them last. Now at 7, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves also kind of struggled on offense this season, only ranked 22nd in offensive rating, but their defense was pretty good. Obviously, they got Rudy Gobert this past offseason, so he's going to make them have a pretty decent defense by himself. And like the Bulls, they are also very efficient with their shots, ranking 3rd in the league in field goal percentage, but they do also really struggle to rebound the ball. So I'm not gonna lie, when I was first making my rankings for this video, I had the Timberwolves at 8 and the Bulls at 7. It came just after Anthony Edwards, I think it was a sprained ankle. He looked like it hurt a lot more, looked like way more than a sprained ankle. Good thing it's not. But I thought he was going to be out for the rest of the season. I thought they were just going to shut him down since he hasn't played since, I don't even know, October it feels like. I thought they were going to shut those 2 guys down. I was like, all right, they're not going to really make much noise. But Shams did report that they could be both coming back as soon as Wednesday, which would be tonight from when you guys are watching this video. So that definitely boosts them up in the standings. Anthony Edwards has been having a fantastic season. Started off kind of shaky, but ever since then, he's just hit his stride and been cooking. Cat, though, I'm a little worried since he hasn't played in so long that when he comes back, he's going to be rusty. He might, shake up the things that they got going this whole season, the chemistry and stuff like that. I hope not. I really am a big fan of Cat. But that does concern me a little bit since he's been out for so long. Then on top of that, their other big man, Rudy Gobert, has routinely the past few seasons been played off the court in the playoffs when he was with the Jazz. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with the Timberwolves, but odds are it probably does, especially if they're running the 2 big lineup in the play-in. I don't really know how that's going to be looking for them. I don't want this to be all negatives about the Timberwolves, though. I do want to bring up some positives. First one being Jaden McDaniels. I really like him, what he's been showing this season. His defense, man, is insane. That big 6'9" body length. Can guard guards, forwards, wings, anything really. He can guard a lot of different people. So I really like that. Depending on what their matchup is, he could be guarding the best player and just make it really difficult for them. Then they also got guys like Naz Reid, who can give you instant offense off the bench. Mike Conley has been really, really good for them as a facilitator and a shooter for them too. Just last night, I watched Julius Randle's career high 57 points against the Timberwolves, and we lost that game because Mike Conley was killing it. Because Taurean Prince wanted to become Stephen Curry and go 8 for 8 from 3. That was definitely one of the toughest losses that I've watched this season for the Knicks. But the Timberwolves, they got some good guys that can come off their bench and just give you a little bit of this, a little bit of that if their stars are struggling. If they get Cat and Ant back, though, they maybe can make some noise. I'm not too high on them, though. And coming in at 6th place, we have the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks are actually the opposite of the other two teams that we've seen. Their offense has been very good this season, top 10 in offensive rating. But their defense, on the other hand, is 22nd, not really the best. And something interesting that I saw is they attempt the most twos in the league at 62, and they attempt the least amount of threes besides the Chicago Bulls at 30. I don't really know if this is a hot take, but where I have the Hawks right now, I have them missing the playoffs, losing in both their playing games. Like, I don't know if I'm being wildin' for that, if I'm bugging or not, but that's just, I don't know. It's tough to say because they do have two guys that can really go off on any given night in Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. Trae Young has shown before that he could take the team deep in the playoffs when he beat the Knicks and the 76ers to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Beyond that, though, he hasn't really done much. He had that one series against the Heat, who he did not look good whatsoever. So maybe now that he has DeJounte, he could take some of the pressure off of him and he can play better. But overall this season, his efficiency just hasn't been too good. I think it's 43% from the field, 34% from 3. It's just not the best. And if the seeding stays the same as it is right now, they would verse the Heat in the first play-in game, which I think their defense could really bother Trae Young. And then they would verse the Raptors, who, again, I think their length and defense would really bother Trae Young again. So I don't really know if I don't see them having a path to make it out because, you know, their defense isn't the best. If their offense is struggling, it could get ugly really fast for them. Speaking of Toronto, I have the Raptors ranked 5th. Their offense has been looking pretty good this season, ranked 11th in the league. Their defense by the numbers doesn't look too good, ranked 17th, but I think they have a lot of personnel to really disrupt a bunch of different guys. They average the most amount of steals and the least amount of turnovers for a team this season. So they're protecting the ball on offense while also getting after it on defense. Pretty good recipe right there. Their field goal percentage, on the other hand, though, is one of the worst in the league. They are not a very efficient offense. So by my rankings, I have the Raptors being the 8th seed out east. Like I mentioned when I was talking about the Hawks, I really like their length and versatility on the defensive side of the ball. They can switch a whole lot there. You know, you obviously don't want to have Fred VanVleet on a center. You don't want to have Jakob Poeltl guarding, you know, the perimeter guys like that. But for the majority, they got guys with a lot of length like Pascal, Scotty Barnes, OG, Gary Trent still, you know, he's got them long arms too. A lot of guys, Chris Boucher, I can go on and on and on. They got a bunch of athletic, long defenders, which I really like for matchups in the playoffs. And all season, pretty much, they were missing that big man down low, a good center, good shot blocker, good rebounder. They went and got Jakob Poeltl to guard, you know, fill that hole right there, big body, grab the rebounds, finish in the paint. You know, he's a great pick and roll guy too, a lot of touch around the rim, so I really like him on that team, or back on that team, I guess I could say. Then, like you guys just saw also, they cause a lot of turnovers while taking care of the ball. It's a great recipe for success in the playoffs. Every single possession matters in the playoffs and play-in. So, you know, getting steals and getting out in transition, easy buckets is going to be great for them, especially because their offense kind of gets a little stagnant in the half court. Their shooting isn't the best besides Fred VanVleet. And OG Anunoby can also shoot too, but everyone else is kind of like, Gary Trent is a spark plug. If he's on, they'll be chilling. But if he's not, things could get a little bit scary. Either way, though, I think their defense and their versatility will propel them past their 2 playing games that they have to win into the 8th seed. Now we're in the top half of play-in teams, and at number 4, I have the OKC Thunder. The Thunder have a pretty good offense at 12th, pretty good defense at 11th, giving them a net rating of plus 1.4, which is top 10 in the league. Kind of similar to the Raptors, they take care of the ball, only giving up the 5th least turnovers per game at 13.3, while also forcing the most turnovers per game at 17. It kind of sucks that the West play-in is so stacked because I would so love to see this Thunder team in the playoffs. Even if they get swept, I wouldn't really care. Just watching them play basketball is just, it's fantastic. They got Shea, who has breaking out and solidified himself as a star in this league, averaging 30 points per game, just super smooth with it too, gets to the rim, gets to the free throw line, shoots those mid-range shots. It's fantastic, man. Then they got guys like Josh Giddey, who's a great facilitator. J-Dub, one of the best rookies, probably. It's close between him and Paolo, man. Honestly, in my opinion, it's close. He's really been killing it this season. The one thing they are kind of lacking is a big man and a center. And, they did draft one at second overall. He missed the whole season. So next year, things can get really scary for the Thunder. But right now, they don't really have a big man, so that could hurt them in the play-in. They're also the youngest team in the entire league, so they don't really have too much playoff experience. Actually, I'm pretty sure the only guys that have playoff experience on the roster are Shea and Lou Dort. Everyone else has never been in a winner-go-home situation, so you never really know how they're going to handle that pressure. But I'm not going to lie, if things break the right way, I could definitely see them sneaking into the playoffs, sneaking in as that 8th seed. They put up a lot of shots, so if they're falling, things could get ugly for the other team for sure. They got a lot of different weapons, a lot of guys that could just go off at any moment. But like I said, the West play-in is just super stacked, so they just barely miss it. Now at third and number 1 for Eastern Conference play-in teams, we have the Miami Heat. The Heat have definitely struggled on offense. That's kind of a little bit of an understatement, honestly. Having the 25th ranked offense, 6th ranked defense, though. Something about those Heat and Eric Spoelstra, he is going to have a good defensive team for sure. As you see, one of their biggest issues on offense is their efficiency, ranked 27th in field goal percentage. So luckily for the Heat, they are ranked the 7th seed, so all they have to do is just win one game and they're in. That's it. That's literally all they have to do. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think that they will beat the Atlanta Hawks, so they're moving up into that 7th seed right now based on these rankings. As you guys just saw, their offense is abysmal. It's really nothing. They don't have a lot of shooting. They don't have a lot of shot creators. It's a lot of Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero just kind of trying to do something. I did give Jimmy Butler the benefit of the doubt, though, because every single time he's made it to the playoffs, his numbers have gone up. If you want a more in-depth breakdown on Jimmy Butler, I just dropped a video about him. Make sure you go check that out on my channel, link in the description. But in the playoffs, I'm sure that he's going to bump up his play. We're going to need Tyler Hero to also have a great performance in the playoffs and play in. Bam Adebayo's got to show his aggressiveness that he showed earlier in this season, dropping 30 points like it was nothing. We're going to need that version of Bam in order for them to make it past into the playoffs. Because beyond that, they really have no depth. I mean, they do got guys like Caleb Martin, who's cool to have on the team. Victor Oladipo can give you maybe like a quick 15 and 5, maybe on a game like that. But besides that, they don't got much. Like Gabe Vincent, I'm not looking for him to do much for me. Duncan Robinson, he got that bag and forgot how to play basketball. So it's a little rough once you get into that depth chart for the Miami Heat. But those top 3 guys, I'm planning and hoping on them to have big performances and propel them into the playoffs. And at number 2, we have the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs have had a fantastic offense this whole season, ranked 6th, but their defense is really where they struggle heavily at 23rd. They turn over the ball the 2nd least in the league, though, and they shoot the 3rd most threes while also making the 3rd most threes. So that's pretty good success for their offense. Part of the reason their offense is so good is they turn over the ball the 2nd least in the league at just 12.5, and they also shoot and make the 3rd most threes in the league. It's kind of crazy because the Dallas Mavericks were as high as, I believe, 4th. They may have even been 3rd at one point in the season, but I know for sure they've been 4th seed. If they would have stuck at that 4th seed, that would have been nice. I was not expecting them to drop all the way down into the play-in, but luckily for them, they have 2 of the top playoff performers in the whole league in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Both of those guys have shown time and time again they can definitely perform in the playoffs. So I think it will be pretty easy for them to just win one game, get right in there. I believe this would have them as the 7th seed. They're not ranked number 1 in play-in teams, but based on how the seeding is, they would be the 7th seed right here in the West. But yeah, like I said, Kyrie and Luka, I think, are going to be able to carry them crazy in a winner-go-home game. I trust those 2 to win you one game. But once you get into the playoffs, that's where things kind of get shaky because they really don't have too much beyond that. They got guys like Josh Green, who has had a fantastic season this year, really showing out for them. Jaden Hardy has looked pretty good since Luka's been out, getting some extended minutes. Tim Hardaway can give you buckets. Beyond that, though, it's eh. They really don't have too much depth, especially at the big man position. They don't really have much depth at all. Not a lot of playable guys that they can have in the forwards and the bigs. And then to wrap it all together, their defense is atrocious. They have one of the worst defenses in the league, as you guys just saw. So I feel like in the playoffs, you're going to have to defend. They really can't do it too much. So I don't know how much they will do once they make it to the playoffs. I believe they would verse the Grizzlies or the Kings right now. I don't know. It's going to be tough, they versus the Kings, they're definitely going to need some defense, and they probably would get smoked. But I don't know. Maybe Luka and Kyrie can just carry the team and go crazy. And at number 1, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers have struggled on offense pretty much the entire season, only ranked 23rd, but their defense is up there, ranked 12th. They're also one of the best rebounding teams in the league at 45.6 rebounds per game. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but just hear me out real quick. Just hear me out. If the Lakers did not make a move at the trade deadline and they kept their team, I would not have them first. I'd probably have them 8th. But since the trade deadline, they have been looking like a completely new team. And also the biggest thing is they've barely had LeBron since the trade deadline. The number 1 spot was really close between the Lakers and the Mavericks. But in my mind, I was thinking, all right, when they're healthy, LeBron and AD or Luka and Kyrie, I'll probably take LeBron and AD over them when healthy. This is also the only duo that has won a championship in all of these play-ins. I know that was a few years ago, but like I said, this team since the trade deadline has looked a whole lot different. I really like D'Angelo Russell for them. Really can give them some offense, some facilitating too, to kind of take the pressure off LeBron when he does come back. Malik Beasley, he's been kind of hit or miss for the Lakers. Sometimes he's on fire and can't miss. Sometimes he can't hit the rim. So, you know, if we would hope that in the playoffs he starts to turn that up. Jared Vanderbilt has been really insane on the defensive side of the ball, playing great defense, rebounding, cutting hard to the basket to get those easy buckets for him too. He's looked amazing. Then they got guys that they've had all season that have also just kind of, you know, picked it up right now. Like Dennis Schroeder, I've really liked what he's done for them all season. Austin Reeves more recently too. He's been really killing it in the absence of LeBron. Troy Brown Jr. can go out there and give you some minutes here and there. And then on top of that, I just really like the idea of Anthony Davis, Jared Vanderbilt, and a locked-in LeBron on defense in the playoffs. I think those three can cause a lot of havoc for teams. So, because of that, they're ranked number 1. Since things are so tight and so close throughout the playoffs, I did want to just give you guys some rankings on the teams that are like the 6th seed, just barely out the play-in if they do happen to fall. That would be the Warriors right now, or the 6th seed out west. I would have them as number 1 above the Lakers, above everyone. I think that they are really good. Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, hopefully he comes back from whatever he's dealing with. You know, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, obviously they're the former champions, the reigning champions. They would be number 1. And then the Brooklyn Nets are the 6th seed out east. I believe they're only 1 or 2 games above the Heat right now if they do fall. I would have them above the Raptors and below the Thunder, which would be 5th. So just in case you guys were wondering, that's where they would put them. Let me know what you guys think of my ranking. Let me know who you have as the best play-in team right now, out east, out west, as a whole, whatever it is. Drop it down in the comments, your rankings. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there'll be links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.